Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Knockout. Knockout is part of the second wave of the Deluxe Class figures from the Transformers Generations Legacy line. And the figure is looking absolutely phenomenal. I didn't expect it to look this good, considering the fact that it is a retool of a previous mold. The figure looks fantastic. Let's take a closer look at the details of this figure. Now, if the mold or the figure looks oddly familiar, it's because the figure is a, I would say, heavy retool or redeco of the Studio Series 86 Jazz mold. The engineering is very similar, if not identical, to this figure. They've just changed the parts here and there. You can see the shoulders still look identical. The thighs have a similar shape to them. But as we will see later in transformation, even the transformation sequence is near identical to the Studio Series 86 Jazz. The whole idea behind these Prime Universe figures being updated in the Generations line is the designers feel that if you had this figure, you couldn't put it in the same shelf as your Generations figure, which is, to me, is a lame excuse, but okay. If with this new redeco or updated version, this figure can, quote unquote, live in the same shelf as your Generations figure. Now, I never really bought that excuse for Hasbro to do this. I think they just wanted to repurpose their molds here and there, just like Bulkhead and RC and whatnot. But in this situation, I'm actually glad they did this, because the new Legacy Knockout is a huge improvement over the original Transformers Prime Knockout. This figure was great during its time. I had my issues with it, particularly the arms. Transformation was a little tricky and all that. And I had issues, if you remember my videos, I think it was in the FX France channel or the early days of Chefatron. I had issues with the chest not fully tabbing or locking into place with the abdomen. And there was a ton of issues with this figure, and he somehow didn't quite resemble or exactly look like, or was a close approximation of how he looked like on the show. So it was good during its time, but I think this new Legacy version is a huge improvement, and I'm kind of glad they did it. So the figure does come with a weapon. It is very similar to that spear that the original Knockout had. You can see here in this comparison where the inspiration for this sort of trident spear weapon comes from. It's from the original weapon that the Prime Knockout had. This one split into two. And in the same vein, this new weapon can split into two as well. This one is, I guess, sort of the Spear of Destiny. No, I'm kidding. It's the Energon piece with metallic paint. This one is just the staff or rod where you can connect it to. So interesting that they decided to still keep the weapon very similar to the original Knockout. I thought they'd give him a blaster or something like that, but yeah. It's unfortunate that he can't hold the weapon here at this point. It would be nice to have him hold it this way. The only way to hold it is this way. It's like he's carrying it, or as sort of like a blaster like this. As far as the details of the figure go, I love this new head sculpt. It's a little fuller than the elongated version that we had with the Prime figure. It's more of a Generations figure. I get it. I love this new chest that he's had. This is the front part of the car. Great details all around. I love the silver paint highlights that they've put on the figure. Basically the same type of mold you'd get with the Studio Series 86 Jazz. So transformation, is he going to be as annoying and difficult as Jazz? We'll see. Untab these panels right here. Go ahead and fold up the rear part of the roof and leave it like that. Okay, fold in the fists. This. Detach the torso. Go ahead and fold down that head. Rotate this abdomen piece. Put this panel back. And then collapse this piece right here. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Not as annoying as Jazz. Because Jazz was, oh my goodness, it was a chore just to transform the upper part of his body. Tab in the doors. Okay, on to the feet. There were some promo pics that had the feet this way, but if you don't rotate these panels down like that, you won't be able to do the rocker hinge for the feet. So it does look better this way though, but you know. Okay, so fold these like that, fold the toes up, collapse the legs, and tab them here. Be very careful when you're tabbing these bits right here, because you can see on mine there's already a bit of a stress mark as I was trying to remove that piece right there. So just be gentle with it, because again, small pegs, they tend to break over time. And then finally, let me just okay, tab the feet together. Okay. And there we go. There is Knockout in his alt mode. And it actually looks very nice. Obviously, you can put the weapon right here. The car rolls very, very nicely. And if you want a comparison with the original Knockout, you can clearly see how much of an improvement this new Legacy figure is. I am just loving it. Much better than the original Prime figure. And then we'll have Jazz in with the mix. You can see it's about the same size as Jazz. But yeah, they did a wonderful job with this. One of those few times that I am so glad Hasbro repurposed their molds. What a great alt mode. The transformation was much improved, considering the fact that this one was a little bit difficult to get into his alt mode. One thing I also noticed and I wanted to point out was the tempos on the side of the car for this Legacy Knockout. It borrows from the design of the original Knockout with the grading of the silver into the red. What's also nice is they painted the wheels yellow, which was not present on the original. But the colors, I think, are a lot better on this new version. This one has sort of a racing stripe, a darker maroon on top of the bonnet onto the roof. This one is just plain red, and I think I do prefer this one over the designs of the original one. So some final thoughts on this new Legacy Prime Universe Knockout. I think it's a great figure. It's definitely an improvement on the original Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Knockout. I'm so glad Hasbro did this after all the things I said about that Prime Universe RC, Prime Universe Bulkhead. I think they kind of redeemed themselves with this Prime Universe Knockout. The figure is going to get a 10 out of 10. It has fixed all the issues of the original figure mold, which is the Studio Series 86 Jazz. Lots of issues, the clearances, the transformation sequence for that figure has been addressed and fixed and remedied with this new Knockout figure. Let me know in the comments what you think of this new Legacy Knockout. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.